Hello, and welcome to Diversity and Social Justice. My name is Professor Trinka Bourne, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you as we begin this 8-week journey for this course. I've had quite a few of you in my courses before, so welcome back. I hope you are continuing to enjoy and learn from each of my courses. I look forward to this course. I've had an opportunity to actually teach it a few times, and I hope some of that experience will gain you greater insight as we learn together over this next 8 weeks. This is a class that we will dive in and touch on many different types of topics, many being sensitive. um, we will have great, diverse discussions, and you will have an opportunity to do much reading and really addressing some of your lack of awareness or awareness in some areas over others, but we're really going to look at diversity and social justice from all aspects. Again, the way I like to teach my courses is to offer you an opportunity to get the readings, but my lectures will provide more of the practical perspective. So looking forward to bringing that to you over this next 8 weeks. For this lecture today, it's really going to just be a review of everything you need to know for the course. So it'll make sure that you're off to a good start and on track. And then I will touch on the PowerPoints for this week and the readings. So to start off our syllabus, it makes sure you really take time. You have to sign off saying that you've reviewed the syllabus before you're able to see your learning activities within Blackboard. So make sure that you are reviewing it and aware of everything that is required of you for the week. So just to kind of scroll through, you're familiar with this being an online only class. So everything that we do will be specifically online. Your textbook for this term or this course is Cultural Diversity, a primer for the human services. It's the 5th edition. You can get it on Blackboard. You can get it on Amazon, hard copy, and or I believe it's available for Audible as well. Here are the objectives for the class. Make sure you take some time to look through each and every one of those. So the papers that you will have to do for this class will take place over the 8 weeks. You will start out with the reflection paper, and that is due for week 1, and I'll go a little bit more into details with that when I talk about your learning activity for the week. You will also have an awareness paper that you will do. You will have an issues in diversity paper, and then your final paper will be social justice and social categories paper, and you will give an extensive review of all that you've learned from the class and addressing 3 of the components from the information that you have learned. You will also have discussion board questions each week. So each week you will be required to complete a discussion board question and post it, as well as respond to 2 of your peers as well in order to get full points. As I mentioned before, you will have a paper, 4 papers, but you will also have your critical assignment, which will be a 20-minute presentation, and more to come. We'll discuss that as we get closer to it. Here we outline your points. So you have 100 points for your reflection paper, diversity paper, social justice and social categories paper, your awareness paper, your discussion boards, all 8 will total a complete point of 250. Your literature review will be 100 points. Outline of presentation will be 50 points. and your actual presentation for your critical assignments will be worth 200 points with a total of 1,000 points total for this course. Here are the grading scales for the course, and then this breaks it out by week. I will jump into the learning activities, so I'm not going to touch in great deal of this, but just know that everything for the most part is due on day 7, which is Sunday night of every week by 11:59 that evening. Expectations is that it'll always be your written work, not anyone else's. If you are citing or using sources, make sure that you cite that correctly with APA format. You are expected to collaborate with your colleagues during this class that is not in person. So those online discussions are very, very important, and make sure that you are responding to keep that engagement and interaction throughout. I try to get back to everybody within 24 hours. If you're emailing me on the weekends, it might be slightly different just because of my schedule, but I really try hard to get back to you right away. Late assignments, I really encourage you to stay on track and not have late assignments because that just continues to push you further and further behind. However, I know that life does not always go as planned and at times can throw us slight curveballs. So I just ask that you notify me right away if there's an extraordinary circumstance or emergency out of your control. Please let me know as soon as possible so we can work together to work through that. If you are interested in any suggested reading, further reading, that is included in the syllabus as well. A lot of different topics that support all that we are going to discuss over the next 8 weeks. So I'm going to scroll back up and head over to our learning activities for the week. So week 0 is just a head start. It allows you to see tutorials and tools to kind of help you with getting started for this class. So feel free to go through and launch and find out information that's beneficial to you. Mine will look slightly different from yours just because I'm on the administrative side, but for the most part, the information that you would access would be the same. So you do have to complete your student responsibility agreement. Really important that you review and complete that. If not, you will not have access to your learning activities for each of the weeks. Moving into week 1, you will need to review the syllabus, which is on the home page, which I just touched on briefly. You will also need to complete all of your reading assignments, and that's for chapters 1, 2, and 3. You will have to listen to this lecture as well, complete discussion board question, and complete the reflection paper assignment. As I said, your readings are for chapters 1, 2, and 3. So the first chapter is Introduction on Diversity, chapter 2, What It Means to Be Culturally Competent, and chapter 3, Working with Culturally Diverse Clients. So a lot of great information in regards to really introducing you to cultural diversity and beginning that discussion as we dive in. It will help you with writing your reflection paper, so I encourage you to read these chapters first. Just going to briefly touch through your PowerPoints. Making sure that you are going through not only the readings, but the PowerPoints will help bring all that together. I'm not going to go through every single aspect of the PowerPoints because I want you to take the time to review it, and I don't want you to think just because I review it on the lecture, that means that you don't have to review it on your own. So I really want to encourage you to take the time to review it on your own. So I'm just going to touch on a few key things that you need to know for each of the 3, and the expectation is that you go back and review them all in great detail. So it's going to touch on cultural differences in the United States today from a political perspective, versus an economic perspective, and looking at all the different situations that have occurred throughout our history until now in regards to diversity and economic downturns that we have experienced through recessions and other entities, how those impact communities of color, what that looks like in relation to different nationalities within our United States and within our world, and how we interact and what those communities represent. So it's offering better awareness on community facilities and services, the distrust of providers, their motives and abilities, based all on past experience. So what they believe, how they believe it, the lack of awareness and familiarity, causes of the different types of discrimination, how that goes beyond refusal of service, unintentionally, unknowingly, how that actually takes place, how to avoid it, and it continues on to give great details of information in regards to that. Chapters 2 and 3 follow suit, much like the same, and offering information in regards to what you need to know as far as the first few chapters of this course. So going back to, sorry, I was thrown off a little bit. I jumped all the way to the chapter 2 and the PowerPoint, and really speaking in regards, and again, this is a different view, so I'm trying to correct it as I'm showing you real time. So I apologize for that if you're seeing some, ooh, that kind of wigged out on me. So apologize for that little glitch right there, but I was trying to show you the chapter 2 PowerPoint. It's slightly different, but it's talking about cultural diversity, a primer for human services in regards to what it means to be culturally competent. So going through the various details of what that chapter entails, changing population and demographics, and what that looks like from past to present, how we project that for our future, factors leading to those changes, what has been impacts to that, reactions to those changes, the political backlashes, polarized societies and what that looks like, implications for helping those in the professions. And so it goes on and on to provide greater detail in regards to chapter 3. And then last but not least, touching on chapter 3, sorry. Touching on chapter 3, which is working with culturally diverse clients. And so this is when you really start getting into that, what we do and how we help others, what that impacts. And so really taking away from many personal experiences and family cultures play an important role in the dynamics of how people interact, how they respond, and the things that they do in regards to interacting on a day-to-day basis with, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's independent, whether it's with family, whatever the case may be. There's so many different entities involved that play an important role in how an individual may interact. You yourselves can probably relate in regards to things that you know or that you were taught, and whether you were brought or made aware of certain things, or if you had to learn those on your own, and how you interacted within society in dealing with those things. I work very closely with individuals of all diversities. I work for local government. I oversee training for about 23,000 employees, and it's in the largest geographical county within the United States, which is San Bernardino County. And so when you talk about interacting with diverse groups, you really have to have an unbiased approach, because there's so many different personalities, experiences, knowledge, lack of knowledge, um, cultures that have been ingrained in individuals, that you have to be open to recognize those things and be able to find ways to engage and interact with understanding and respect for each person's experiences. So I'm hoping that this course will kind of help enlighten you to those areas that you don't feel strongly in, those areas that you feel that you have not had experience in, and really give you better insight as far as working within your career and or interacting with others in other settings. So the discussion for this week will build upon your reading and your PowerPoints. It's asking, what does it mean to be culturally competent? How can you prepare for cross-cultural work? Why is it important for Christians to work with diverse groups of people? So really needing you to do your readings prior to answering this question, because I really want to see the depth and substance that you bring by providing that as well. In addition, you will have to do a reflection paper, and in that reflection paper, you will be writing and evaluating your own values, biases, and prejudices, and how they have shaped your beliefs, values, attitudes, and behaviors. Begin by describing the development of your beliefs and attitudes towards differences in regards to race, ethnicity, gender, class, religion, sexual orientation, and your abilities. Include how you believe they were shaped by factors such as family, peers, media, affiliate groups. Next, discuss your beliefs and attitudes about human differences at this stage in your life. Have you retained those of your upbringing, or have you modified or replaced them? Identify and discuss biases you now have regarding groups different from yourself. How do these biases influence the ways in which you interact with members of those groups? Use your textbook to incorporate at least 5 concepts from this week's readings in your discussion. Your paper should be 3 to 4 pages of text plus a title and reference page. Don't worry about an abstract for this one, but we will as we continue with other papers. But for this one, I don't need one. I do need you to be sure of your APA formatting and that it is correct. Please refer to the rubric here to make sure that you're getting full points and full credit for your work. I will use it to make sure that your information is clear and concise and well written. And just really looking for you in this first week to share your personal experiences in relation to what you're reading in the textbook and how that links or disconnects from what you have already known. And so take the time to really review the book and the PowerPoints to give you the insight that's needed. Over the next few weeks, I'll really dive in and share some personal experiences as well as opportunities of what I have learned working in the workforce and really having to be engaged and present with learning from each other and recognizing that you never truly understand what someone is going through until you walk in their shoes. And so finding opportunities to better learn, build knowledge and understanding helps us in so many ways as we approach diversity and social justice. We don't necessarily have to agree on everything or have the same sense of understanding. However, we have to be open and unbiased to the different circumstances and what culture brings for each person individually and how that shapes their thoughts, their minds, their words, the things that they do, how they do them, and how they interact with others. So hoping that you will be open to learn and grow and see diversity and social justice from a completely different perspective, unlike you potentially have in years past. So I think I've touched on the gist of what you need to know for this week. I would encourage you to not just stick with 1 week. If you do have opportunity to get ahead, that's always great to kind of move into the further week, additional weeks, because it helps to kind of give you some insight for what's to come. Um, we'll leave you now, giving you time this week to review syllabus, to review chapters, 3 PowerPoints, as well as completing your discussion board and your reflection paper. If you have any questions, you know how to reach out to me. I'm available via email. I will be out of the country this week. However, I will check email and be available via email if needed. Give me about a day or though to respond, being that I might not be able to check it right away. I wish you all a wonderful week. God bless you. And I will leave you with one of my favorite prayers that I love to use for each of my courses. And I start out with for this week is trust in the Lord with all thy heart. Lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will lead your paths. So as we enter into this first week, I ask you to trust in the Lord and ask that he give you the guidance and the direction that you need to do great things and to be successful as you learn and grow over this next 8-week journey. I look forward to learning with each and every one of you and hearing from each and every one of you. Take care and have a wonderful week. That was from Proverbs 3:5. Have a wonderful week. God bless.